Good morning, everybody. I hope you're safe and well. It's a glorious sunny morning here in Surrey, and I'm delighted to be joined from LTS Lohmann Therapies Systems by Dr. Sebastian Braun, who's Head of Formulation Development and Manufacturing for Innovation Injection Systems. These titles are always so long, I wonder how big the business cards are. And Michael Kulik, who's the Senior Manager, Head of Process Optimization, Technology and Integration. And the reason I'm getting to chat to these lovely gentlemen this morning is that this week, there is an event going on called Microneedle and Transdermal Delivery Virtual Summit, which starts tomorrow and it runs from the 5th and 6th. And they're presenting, and they're actually presenting on dissolvable microneedles from development to commercial production. So we thought we'd catch up this morning to get an update, because Sebastian actually did an interview in February with me on micro patches to get an update on what they're going to be talking about at the event. So gentlemen, good morning. How are you both?
Hello. Oh, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Lovely to meet you, Michael, for the first time.
Hello, I'm also fine.
Great, fantastic. So, Sebastian, you're calling in from Germany, aren't you? Which part of Germany are you calling in from?
Oh, we're calling from the western part of Germany. Rheinland-Pfalz is the country, and the area is the vicinity of Andernach, which is south of Bonn, actually, which somebody might know. Actually.
Yeah, well, no, I do know Bonn. Yeah, yeah. Michael, you're in the office in the same place, then I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm in the same place. Several doors away.
It's always strange interviewing two people at the same time, but they're in different offices in the same building. All right, well, gentlemen, it's lovely to meet you both. Obviously, as I mentioned in the intro, Sebastian and I did do an interview on micro patches way back in February. So we thought we'd get an update in terms of how technology is developing, and also about your talk this week. But before we start, would you mind giving viewers a quick overview of your own backgrounds and a little bit about LTS Lohmann Therapies, System Therapies, who are not familiar with them? So, Sebastian, would you like to start, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure, of course. My name is Sebastian Braun. I'm a molecular biologist by training, but actually way back, more than 15 years now, I joined the pharmaceutical industry. And since then, I try to push pharmaceutical compounds through the skin, into the skin, or through the mucosa, different companies, and always development and manufacturing. And at the moment here at LTS Lohmann, I'm responsible for one of the formulation development labs for microneedles. And I'm also head of manufacturing here. So for the GMP part of manufacturing, I'm responsible here. And yes, pretty much sums up what I'm doing here at LTS. So I guess should I just introduce LTS?
Yes, please, if you don't mind. Yeah, sure. Yeah, please, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, so LTS Lohmann is a world-leading, actually, manufacturer and developer of transdermal drug delivery devices and oral thin films. These are the you might know the transdermal delivery devices or delivery products from nicotine patches,
yes,
for example,
sure.
or hormone patches. And the oral thin films, probably more visible in the market, in the US market, are these thin oral strips which you take into your mouth. They melt away and release the API, right. And the API goes through the mucosa or is swallowed. So this is basically the main product actually in the market. But our third branch is the branch what we are talking about. This is the topic actually from today's chat. This is microneedles, or how we call it, microarray patches. So that's basically the third column in our product lineup. And we are actually a contract development and manufacturing organization. So customers can come to us and with a compound and ask us, can you actually do a classical transdermal patch or a thin film or even a microneedle array? And yeah, we are happy to help and develop and manufacture those products. And we have 2 sites, or 3, if you like. One in Germany is our main site, manufacturing and development. We have a manufacturing site in the US, and we have an office in China. Brilliant. So we are open for a lot of customers.
Fantastic. So Michael, what's your background and role?
Yeah, I'm Michael Kulik, mechanical engineer by training, and yeah, I was always into development and manufacturing production technology, basically. 4 years right now at LTS, where we build our own machines for production. But also before, I was 5 years at Fraunhofer Institute for Production Technology. And there we also developed machines for the production of stem cells. So I was always in the field of how can I bring a process into commercial scale? And this is what I'm currently doing at LTS here.
Fantastic. All right, so let's start off with a really basic question. I know we did this video on this last time, Sebastian, but for those who haven't watched the video, very quickly, what are microneedles or microarray patches, and how do they work?
Microneedles or microarray patches, there are a couple of those products out there. We are focusing here at LTS on the dissolvable ones. So how do they look like? They're very tiny. Let's say thumb-sized on the top, and they have an adhesive site, and have very, very tiny needles. So these are 600 micrometers long, very, very tiny, half a millimeter, if you like. And if you punch them, they have quite a few of those, a couple of hundreds. And if you punch them into the skin, actually you don't feel them, because pain sensation is not triggered. And the needles themselves actually contain the pharmaceutical active ingredient. And if you punch them into the skin, due to the microcirculation, so the water in the skin, the needles dissolve, releasing the API, and the API is either working directly at the spot or is taken up by the body and is working in the whole body of the patient. So very convenient, and the big advantage is molecules which you typically need to inject can be delivered by this kind of technology without having a doctor present to inject the vaccine or biologics, basically. So this is what we called since start of this year self-applied injections.
Fantastic. Michael, have you got anything to add to that?
Sorry?
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, the description was perfectly.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. So since we last spoke, though, what new insights have you seen, or how have things developed within that field?
This is very simple, I think. Since February, not very much around the whole microneedle technology happened, basically. There are a lot of companies out there who have their, let's say, their own kind of technology, but the base principle still stands. So there is two subcategories typically you are working on. One is the immediate release, meaning you punch in the product into your skin, the API is released and should do its work immediately, and then should be basically, then everything is over, no release any longer. And then the sustained release variant, the subcategory 2, if you like, where you punch them into the skin, typically you remove the patch, but still the release is going on for quite some time, a couple of days maybe even. Mostly for small molecules, if you want to treat for a week, for example, it's more like a micro implant then. So this is still stands, and customers coming to us asking for both, basically. But the most questions we are getting is around the scale up and manufacturing technology, basically, because this is quite interesting for most of our potential customers. After you have the product, how do we go on?
Right. And one question I do want to ask you was, when we chatted in February, we did talk about whether vaccines could be delivered via micro patches. So has there been any further development along those lines, though, since we last spoke?
Oh, it's actually hard because I can't disclose very much. As a contract development and manufacturing organization, I'm bound by NDAs, a lot of NDAs, of course. But I can say you that right now in the pipeline, we are preparing a clinical trial with the vaccine.
That's
So
fantastic.
I can't disclose anything else.
No, I wasn't expecting to disclose anything confidential, but more about the technology and how the technology is developing in that front, basically. Because as we discussed last time, a lot of people are averse to needles, and so it is a great way to get people who are maybe hesitant taking the vaccine to take the vaccine if they can have it in a transdermal way. So that's really interesting. You should say that. Okay, so why is the manufacturing technology such a hot topic at the moment?
Yeah, actually, if you look at the base technology of microarray patches, this is actually what we call them, microneedles. We call them microarray patches, and you see a lot of data out there around the technology itself, efficacy in animal models, and even human pharmacokinetic studies, data obtained by a lot of different institutes and even companies. And so the base principle stands, it will work. So, but still no product is in the market. So everybody asks themselves, okay, what is not published? And basically the thing is, what is not published is production, scale up and production equipment. So yes, there are companies actually making a lot of, let's say, noise at conventions, but there's no real, let's say, buy it from the shelf stuff out there. And this is the main reason why I think, which is changing the situation in conferences. Everybody wants to know about production technology. And this is actually the reason why, in contrast to a start of the year, I'm actually asked Michael Kulik, our lead engineer, to join me for this year's Microneedle and Transdermal Delivery Virtual Summit to actually bring this as some kind of a highlight to our talk.
Fantastic. Well, this leads on nicely to you then, Michael. So what are the main differences regarding MAP, I'm going to call them MAP, manufacturing technology, between an MAP development company and a CDMO? So what, how do they approach things, and how different is the approach to that technology?
Yep. So basically, if you see the manufacturing process, it contains several process steps. So you have always kind of a liquid which you put on the microneedles by coating, or which you put into molds by generating dissolvable microneedles. Then you have a drying process, and then you need to package the whole system. And maybe you need to do it aseptic or not. This is still not defined. And there are different processes outside. So different companies use different process steps to manufacture a MAP system. And for a MAP developer, it's quite clear. You have your process, you have your product design, and you go straight through it, and you focus more on the clinical data and by developing the product. For us as a CDMO, we need to think a little bit further, because we can't afford to be dependent on just one customer. We need many customers, and therefore we need to manage the production technology for various processes. Right. And this is how we started to proceed around about 3 years ago, and right now we have a very good concept here.
Right. Have you got anything to add to that, Sebastian?
Yeah, it's absolutely right. So we need actually to have a very broader view, not just one. We not envision one product and bring this alone to the market and focus directly on that. We need to broaden our technology.
Right. I mean, now when I've speak to a lot of manufacturers these days, they're all talking about modular systems and modular concepts. So what is meant by modular concept when we talk about MAP technology?
So what do we understand under a modular concept is mainly, let's say it that way. If you start to develop a production technology, usually you have clear defined process steps with parameter, and you have a design which is freezed, and you're pretty sure they won't change anything. And then you start to develop a machine because you know what the machine has to do.
Sure.
In the field of in MAP technology, we are still dealing with moving targets. So there are still changes in the process steps, but also in the design. And this is where we started to develop a production technology, and we ask about what's the requirements, as a typical question for an engineer. And then the requirements were given, and after several months they changed, and we said, oh God, what shall we do? And so we started to think further. We started to think beyond the one production technology, and we what we have basically done is we took the process steps of the production process and put this into functional modules. And this modules is, for example, a module for dispensing, or a module for applying forces to get the liquid into the cavities, or also the packaging module. By doing so, we have the possibility to just change modules.
Sure.
And so that way allows us to have one infrastructure and one production line, but consisting of several modules, which we can exchange or develop further. This is the main concept what we focus on.
Fantastic. Sebastian, have you got anything to add to that one?
No, basically it's his field, and I'm very actually excited every time I visit him actually in this big hall with the different modules, and they look always different actually because he develops them further. It's very interesting.
Fine. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of a modular approach? I mean, one of the things I can think is obviously you've got flexibility, but the disadvantage is it becomes more expensive when you're developing that, because you have to have a more upfront cost, if you like, to develop all the modules. So what are the advantages and disadvantages from your perspective in terms of the modular approach?
Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, you have the advantage by using such a modular concept. You can support different processes. And of course, you can also support different product designs. So large one, you just put another module into it, or small ones, and so on. But especially in terms of a moving target, you can you can develop or modify production technology very fast and cost efficient, because you don't have to change the whole machine. You just change part of it. Yeah. So the worst case would be, you have a production line there, and then you realize, oh, we have to change a requirement and nothing fits anymore. Yeah, you have spent a lot of money, a lot of time, efforts in a production line, and then you realize, oh, it doesn't fit to our requirement. And this is where we think this modular concept helps you to avoid this, because you just change modules, but the infrastructure, which is really cost intensive, you can keep.
Brilliant. No, that's good. Any disadvantages?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are always disadvantages. So the disadvantage in our concept is, as we have focused on a specific isolator housing, we are restricted in the area. And this makes, or this has influence on the throughput. So depending on your process, how you manufacture MAP systems, there might be a limit to the throughput in terms of how many microarrays per year can I produce with such a machine.
I mean, one question though, just sort of touching on that a little bit, is that I know speaking to people when they're talking about gene therapy or advanced therapeutical medicinal products, ATMPs, that small batch manufacturing is really important in those areas. So obviously, thinking about the modular system, I presume that would really help then, if you can get down to that stage where you are using microneedles for that purpose, to be able to do that a lot easier then, because you've got the modular system in place.
This is a little bit different topic, because in terms of cell and gene therapies, you are in completely different processes. So there are a lot of developments by trying to focus cell and gene therapy in the box, so closed containers. But the main challenge is still, to provide 10 or 100,000 of patient-specific processes. by reducing the cost. You can't get 10,000 of machines, but you just need one machine which supports all the patients and individually. And this is a specific challenge, but this doesn't apply. This is a little bit different from the focus than microarrays. Right. But of course, a modular approach can also be interesting for those therapies, I think.
Right. Sebastian, have you got anything to say about that?
I totally agree. I guess the area, as you mentioned in your introduction, basically the area is quite interesting, and we don't know whether this actually fits somehow our technologies, meaning our products. But to jump on one idea is these very tiny batch sizes. This is actually something, when you think about very small batch sizes, most of the production areas for patches, for OTF, but also for tablets and whatsoever, they're actually struggling with this because they are very, they're not worth doing it, basically, cost of manufacturing going up. I would say that in our case, due to the way we are manufacturing microneedles, this is not a very big deal, I guess.
Right, so, sure.
I think small batches of microneedles can be nicely manufactured in the same area, in the same way than we have big batches. Of course, we want to have big production batches. Don't get me wrong, but I know the difficulties. Actually, small batches, to manufacture small batches is always a struggle. You don't find CDMOs who really like those because cost of manufacturing go up very, very, very steeply, very fast. But I think this is something due to the fact how we actually manufacture those, which we can handle for microneedles.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's talk about your presentation then coming up. So what can delegates expect to learn by attending the presentation this week?
Yeah, so maybe just because I have the first part of the presentation, but it's for those actually who already listened to one of my talks from the start of the year. It's basically a base introduction to give you an idea about microarray patch systems, what different kinds of patch systems are out there. So you get a tiny overview about this, but then I actually lead very fast to Michael's talk, and this is a difference to what you what you might seen at the start of the year, is that I hand over, and then something totally new comes in part 2, and we are very excited actually because it's the first time we do this.
So well, it's almost like a teaser then, this video. Great. So people will have to sign up and find out how different it is. Excellent. Now, if people can't make the talk for whatever reason, or they're not registered as delegates, where else can they get more information?
You can of course check our website, and I have I'm actually was asked actually to say that please look at the .com website. So it's LTSLohmann.com. It's also our new domain. So if you have an email address, an old one, it will still reach me. But LTSLohmann.com is our new domain. So please check out our website. Of course, we have also our social media accounts, of course. And we will be on different conferences and summits the rest of the year, of course, start of next year. So and everywhere where you see LTS, so you can of course ask somebody, even if it's the transdermal guys or the ortho guys. Typically one of our MAP guys is also at a virtual booth, for example. So just ask for us, and we will figure out who can answer your question best.
Fantastic. All right. Well, look, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time out this morning. I have to say, viewers, this was turned around very quickly because we only decided on Friday that we would do this morning. So it's all been done very, very quickly. So I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me this morning about microarray patches, or microneedles, whatever you want to call them, but we know what we're talking about. And good luck with your presentations on Wednesday. So let's just give the presentation a plug. So I'm just going to say it's actually on Wednesday at 2:15 Eastern time, which if you're in Europe is what, 8 o'clock, I think, European time, and 7:15 UK time. But if you are there, check it out. It's going to be really interesting because these guys are presenting. So, and you can see they know their stuff. So it's fantastic. So good luck with your presentation. I know it's virtual because rather than being there live, but you've got a bit of practice now talking to me this morning. So that's all good. So good luck with your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Viewers, so there you go. So if you would like to know more about microneedles or microarray patches, check out Sebastian and Michael's presentation at the event. As I said, the link for the event will be above the video, so you can click on and register for it if you're not already registered. If you're already attending, then please make sure you check it out and watch the presentation as well. And if you can't go to that at all, then you can still get in contact with Sebastian and Michael. Sebastian's not on LinkedIn at the moment, but he is contactable by email, and Michael is on LinkedIn, so you can message him directly, and you can leave comments below the video and they'll be happy to answer them as well. So there's lots of ways to find out more information. So once again, thank you, gentlemen, very much for your time. And thank you, viewers, for watching. And as always, until next time, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.